Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HOTFIX. So today, unfortunately, it's just me. We kind of had a few problems. Like I was hoping to get a guest on for today's HOTFIX, but that kind of fell through. And then Kiri, well, he couldn't make it, so that's fell through as well. So you've just got me, ladies and gentlemen. However, I'm going to continue the HOTFIX as we were going. Well, the HOTFIX we had planned, which is gaming innovation, but specifically focused on Blizzard. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what the hell has happened? You know, what the hell has happened with Blizzard? Now, let's just go back, because you're probably thinking, well, why the hell, Star, are you hating on Blizzard? Because what the hell have Blizzard ever done to you? Well, Blizzard have done quite a lot to me in a very good way, because Blizzard, they used to be a company, and notice I use the word used to be a company that would innovate, that would, like, invent gaming genres. I mean, let's just look at their achievements, okay? So, probably their biggest achievement today is World of Warcraft, whether you love it or hate it, because that took a formula of game. You know, it took the MMO formula and it pushed it out to the masses. It made it more accessible. They did create quite a good game. You know, it's no matter which way you look at it, it is a very polished game. It is a very good game. I know it kind of launched a bit iffy, but they took the gamble. They innovated there. They brought MMORPGs to the mass market. Big innovation, okay? Let's go further back. Let's look at Diablo. Look what they did there. They basically invented a genre. The action RPG, the click fest, the loot fest, the spam, the RSI simulator. They invented that, ladies and gentlemen. You know, they practically invented that. You just cannot deny it. Let's look at StarCraft, okay? Not StarCraft 2, but let's look at StarCraft. This is a game which essentially invented esports. Kind of. Okay, well, let's just say it was the most... Well, I don't know, actually. Saying it's the most widely adopted esport kind of is a bit dodgy, because it was literally focused on Korea and almost Korea, well, South Korea, that is not North Korea, that would be crazy, but South Korea almost completely. You know, this is a game that took over a country. You know, I'm just going to say it invented modern esports. That's what it did, okay? Television companies started to, you know, cable companies started to cover it. You had all the, you know, casters and everything. It invented what we know today as modern esports when we look at things like Dota, and I'll get onto Dota in a minute. We look at League of Legends, we look at StarCraft 2, we look at, you know, any other mainstream esport. So let's talk about Dota, because I do believe that this was this genre of games was invented from mod tools from Warcraft 3, ladies and gentlemen. And then we look at Warcraft as a whole. We look at Warcraft 2. Warcraft was kind of, people may hate me for this, but I'm going to say that was kind of iffy, you know, considering what else was coming out around about the time, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to hate on it too bad, but Warcraft 2, brilliant game, okay? I love me some troll axe throwers. They are the best. And Ogre Magi, wonderful. Warcraft 3, obviously. I still think Warcraft 3, even to this day, is the best single player, has the best single player campaign of any RTS game ever. Even better than Command & Conquer. And my frigging YouTube channel is called Unit Lost. That shows you how much we like Command & Conquer. So what I'm getting at here is there is innovation. There has been loads of innovation, okay? So what the hell is going on now? Now, I have notes, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a professional like that on my iPad. So, I'm going to start with Diablo. Now, what the hell happened to Diablo 3? What was that all about? I mean, the game suffered from a litany of problems. Now, you've got things like you could not change the difficulty setting, okay? That really pissed me off, right? Because I hate playing games through on like such a ridiculously easy... I mean, basically in Diablo, if you've not played it, but most people have. So, and this was the same with Diablo 2 as well, and I think Diablo as well. So they kind of kept this the same, consistent almost, you could say, but I think they should have really innovated at this point and took the chance to change it, which they kind of have done now, but I'll get onto that in a minute. So, what they've done, what you had to do was complete the game on the easy difficulty setting, then complete it on the normal difficulty setting, then complete it on the hard difficulty setting, and eventually, you know, you work your way up to Inferno, and then you know, obviously we start getting better drops, better things like that. But that means you have to play through the game loads of times, and the game was, you know, it's repetitive, ain't it? It's like, what the hell? It doesn't exactly have the best storyline either, does it, Diablo 3, let's be honest. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, back to my notes. These are patch notes from the big Diablo 2.0 loot patch, yeah? So, I'll give you a quick summary of the history of Diablo 3. So, the team, well, the lead, I think it was Jay Wilson, who was the lead for Diablo 3 when it launched. He's not the lead anymore, and he hasn't been the lead for some time. And you can see they've been really working on sorting this game out, because it was bad, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just going to read some things off, okay? These are patch notes. Now you just think to yourself, or ask yourself the question, why the hell was this not in at launch, okay? All of this should have fucking been in at launch, okay? Get ready for this. So, the difficulty system has been completely revised. Nightmare, Hell, and Inferno have been removed, okay? Difficulty is now dynamic and monsters will level up with your character. Not bad. There are now 5 difficulty settings to choose from. Normal, Hard, Expert, Master, and Torment. Okay? And it's listed as 1 to 6. I think that probably means like that. Well, there's 6, isn't there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, maybe there's 1 to 6 difficulty levels inside the difficulty. I don't know. But that kind of doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. And I just want to find the most interesting thing. Oh, hang on. Torment unlocks when you hit level 60, so you don't get that straight away. Oh, and Master unlocks. Oh, hang on. This is what I wanted to get. Normal, Hard, and Expert are immediately available. That means me being a pro gamer, not a pro gamer, ladies and gentlemen, being a gamer, does not want to play the game on easy because that is a joke. I want a challenge, okay? So I would set the game immediately to, what was it? I've totally lost it, even though it's in front of my face here. What the hell? Yes, Expert, straight away. When you get to Act 4, you can then bump it up to Master, so I guess that's kind of okay. That's not having to complete the whole game. I mean, it depends on how difficult these settings actually are, okay? But there is no way on hell I would play, well, no way in hell, Diablo reference pun, dear oh dear. I'd play the game on normal, which I was forced to do, you know, when Diablo 3 came out. Everybody was looking forward to that. Everybody dropped money on that game straight away because it's Diablo. Diablo 2, fine pedigree there, ladies and gentlemen. That game's a masterwork, okay? Diablo 1's great as well, but Diablo 2, awesome. Diablo 3, well, beyond its absolutely amazing combat system, well, combat animation, let's say. Well, no, I'm going to say combat system as well, because it did feel like massively like visceral, like you were slamming things apart, especially with the Barbarian. In fact, most of the classes do feel, you know, really good. Best combat I've ever seen in any kind of action RPG. But the rest of the game, really terrible. You know, things like loot, auction house, don't even get me started on that. But again, that's something that's being removed. You know, so I mean, if I just read off a list of, I'm just going to read this off, like a couple here, and just think to yourself, how many of these should have actually been in at launch, like I just said earlier on. So, you can now lower your difficulty setting in game. However, increasing your difficulty still requires exiting your current game. This option is disabled in hardcore mode. To account for these changes, monster density has been adjusted across all acts. Itemization has undergone a major overhaul. Legendary and set items are now bind on account. Players in multiplayer games may trade legendaries and set items they find with others who are present for the drop for up to 2 hours after the item is acquired. That means, ladies and gentlemen, you have incentive to play with your friends. Because I tell you what, I'd like to play this game with some people from Unit Lost. But, well, at the time I did. You know, when it came out. But it was just terrible. The loot was terrible. It was just terrible. And besides, as soon as you got enough money to go on the auction house, you didn't care about drops. You just went to the auction house. You know, loot is a major part of this type of game. So to completely circumvent that with the auction house is a fucking retarded decision. Whoever came up with that with Blizzard needs to be fired, and I presume they already have. And this is also another interesting thing. Smart loot item rolls. Smart loot item rolls, intelligent. It's explain what smart loot is. Or it's trying to. Allow me to explain it. So, what smart loot is if something drops, okay, and you're a wizard, there's more chance of it being a wizard item, okay? It is not a barbarian item or something like that. And I think this extends to... Yeah, no, that just extends to everything, I think. You know, and there's loads. I'm not going to go through it all because there's loads. But even from those that I've read, obviously the big ones with the auction house being removed. Not in this patch, obviously. That's happening when... I think that's happening a few weeks before the launch of Reaper of Souls. But even in just this patch, they've seemed to have fixed quite a lot of the issues that they've got. But that's just Diablo, ladies and gentlemen. You know, let's talk about World of Warcraft now. So, if we look at World of Warcraft, okay, in its let me just take a drink. My God, it's quite hard doing this on your own, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's look at World of Warcraft. It didn't invent the genre, okay, but it really refined it. It took what was most people thought was like a basement dweller activity, you know, the 40 plus something guy living at home with his mom. He's never been outside, you know, he lives in the basement, all the rest of that. That was associated with games like Ultima Online, EverQuest, things like that. World of Warcraft really opened that type of game up to the masses. And I know it is kind of like a generic fantasy setting, but then I guess you could say so is EverQuest and things like that. But that is like the crowning achievement of WoW for me. It brought a ton of people into the game, okay? And that, in turn, makes the game world extremely, alive. A lot of things going on. You had a lot of famous YouTube channels, people like Total Biscuit, Jesse Cox. You could name loads of others. Actually started from covering WoW. So it caused a lot of stuff. Machinima. It had a big hand in, the development of Machinima, like people making movies out of video games. So it did really well. And it kind of followed some of the examples of older games, like when you had the original, I think it was 40-man raids in WoW. EverQuest, I think you had 72-man raids at the time, which is pretty ridiculous. But now, if you look at it now, they've kind of skimmed that down. I haven't played WoW for years, so I can't really give that much of a detailed insight into the changes that have happened. This chair's really creaky over the last few years, but if we look at WoW now, it is in an environment where there are a lot of free-to-play titles out. And WoW is sort of... I think it's going to do okay with Warlords of Draenor, because I am looking forward to that. This is its next expansion. But I think they're struggling to kind of innovate with the game, take it in a new direction. Look at recent news, okay? This is the character boost. Now, when you buy Warlords of Draenor, you get a character boost to level 90, a one-off. That's fine. But it has since been confirmed. In fact, it was confirmed a few days ago, I think. But you can actually buy this from within WoW itself. So, apologies, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a character, like, say, whatever level it is, you can boost it to level 90 for $60. What does that say to you? It's not really innovation, is it, ladies and gentlemen? I don't class that as innovation. Like, there are a couple of different ways of looking at this. You can look at it and say, well, this is the Blizzard way. This is the PR spun way of, well, the thing is, guys, we don't really want people buying loads of copies of WoW, buying all the expansions and buying Warlords of Draenor just to get a level 90 character. So what we'll do, we'll offer it up to any player you want on any account for $60. We think that's an acceptable price because that doesn't cheapen the leveling experience, So that's great and that's fine. That's Blizzard's way of looking at it. That's what they officially released. But then I submit this to you, ladies and gentlemen, because I look at it this way, right? Number one, WoW has quite a nice world. Even though the graphics are dated, don't get me wrong, they are dated. The craft that has gone into the world is extremely, it's top end. It's high up there. Blizzard have loads of polish in anything they do. Look at Hearthstone. It's just a simple card game, but look how much polish it's got all over it. It's amazing. They are effectively giving you a $60 pass to skip the bulk of content. I don't even... When you get to level 90, when you get to Warlords of Draenor, the amount of content in that is going to be nowhere near the amount of content in all the previous expansions combined, nowhere near. Yet you can skip all of that. You're going to miss... Even... I kind of had the same argument around about Cataclysm. This is when I stopped playing WoW, even though I didn't really play it that hardcore anyway, because I was more of an EverQuest man myself. But... when they changed the old zones, even I felt like a bit of... I even went round and looked at some of the old zones. I just walked around the zones because I knew they were being changed. When the Cataclysm hit, a lot of the... Well, most of the low-level areas got redesigned and such. So you kind of, like... I felt connected to that world and I was going to miss that world. That was the world I played in and now it's gone sort of thing. And I'm never going to see that again. So for Blizzard to give you basically give you a pass to just skip out, the bulk of levels up to level 90... I don't like that. I really don't like that. And their line of saying we don't want to cheapen the leveling experience is comical. Because, number one, how many hours do you think it takes to level in WoW? I don't know. Let's say theoretically you're not like a superpower leveler. You're none of this. You're on your own. You're playing the game, experiencing it for the first time. Okay, because a lot of people are going to be like this, who come into Warlords of Draenor because of the level 90 boost thing. So I reckon probably about 70, 80, 90 hours or something to get to top level. This is if you know nothing about the game. If you're really new to the game and you want to experience absolutely everything, maybe you re-roll a couple of classes before you work out the one you want to do and all the rest of that stuff, okay? So they're now saying, well, for $60, which is the price of like a standard game these days, you can just go to the end game, well, to the level 90 and have your way with it, get stuck into the next expansion. Problem is, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be ending up with a ton of players who don't know how to play the game. And these are probably players, like, I honestly think the type of person, this is what I'm getting at, right? I think it's just a cash grab. I think the type of people who would actually pay for this type of boost are people who are kind of like the quick customers, the people who are not really in it for the long run, okay? They just want to get to the end and experience it, and that's fine. They're probably only going to play the game for a month, maybe 2 months, if that, maybe even just a few weeks, okay? But they've got money to burn, so they're like, yeah, well, I'll drop $60, I'll get a level 90 warrior, and I'll just go for it, and this is great. Oh, I like WoW, it's all right, then leave. They're not going to understand how to play the game properly. I don't care if you say WoW's simple or whatever, you're not going to understand. You're given a level 90 character with a shitload of skills and abilities, you're just going to be like, what the hell am I doing? You won't understand any of how to properly, you just won't understand anything, okay? But those people, okay, at this moment in time, may only just play the WoW trial, yeah? Or maybe get one of the battle chests. I might only make a character, get it to level 15, 20, and then stop playing. We've only actually made like $20, $30 off them if they've bought the battle chest. You might have made nothing off them if they've just got the trial. But if you give that person the ability to go to endgame effectively for $60, they might do it. And I think it is a pretty cynical attempt to make money. And I also think, going back to the whole point of this, which is lack of innovation. Let me just take a drink before I think anymore. It's only been 17 minutes, yet it feels like it's been so much longer because I've constantly been talking. Okay, so I think, going back to the lack of innovation thing, I need to drop my iPad. Free to play is the way kind of things are kind of going, right? Microtransactions, it's the way things are going. Look at WoW, okay? It's got its monthly sub. Things are not going, monthly sub is sort of becoming a thing of the past, although Elder Scrolls Online does use a monthly sub. And I think so does WildStar, but we'll have to see how that pans out. I'm not too sure about Elder Scrolls, to be honest. Although I will be playing that this weekend, so I can maybe make some assumptions on that then. Well, not assumptions, I can form some thoughts. Who knows? So, I think they want microtransactions. We know this because they've got things like the pets. They've got the mounts you can buy. I know some of these are charity donations and things like that, but some of them aren't. I think you can buy items that make your character look different. You've obviously got all the character changes, race changes, name changes, server transfers, all of that stuff. But now you're starting to see things pop up like, I think there's actually going to be like an XP boost thing as well. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there is. Like in the little in-game store where you can just bring it up and spend actual money through your Blizzard account. It looks like they have this thing, I think, I feel like they just don't know where to go. Like, I feel like they've had this golden period of all this massive innovation, and they're sort of at a period now where they're really starting to stagnate a little bit, and they're starting to follow and chase after people. Now, I think I'm going to come off WoW for now. Let's just come off WoW. But what I'm going to go on to now, and this kind of highlights it quite a lot, is Heroes of the Storm. Now, it has been confirmed that Heroes of the Storm will use exactly, that is right, ladies and gentlemen, exactly the same monetization system as League of Legends. What does that say to you? Let's look at the history of MOBAs. They were practically invented within Warcraft 3. That's where Dota comes from. Now they're chasing a company, Riot, which took that formula, developed it to a point it's at now. It's undeniably the most played game around the world now. That game used to be World of Warcraft. It's not anymore. It's League of Legends by a very long way. I know a lot of it's Asian and things like that, but a lot of that's to come down, countries that don't have massive amounts of, like the Western world tends to have a lot of disposable income. Places like Vietnam, China, Indonesia, places like less disposable income. So what appeals to those gamers? What free-to-play does. And Riot realised this. I think Heroes of the Earth as well is also free-to-play, but that didn't start out free-to-play. So yeah, the point is, Heroes of the Storm is Blizzard's attempt at a kind of completely self-made and developed and polished MOBA game, which, as far as I can tell, does look the most casual of all of the MOBAs. Now, that's not a slight against it, because I think that's quite a positive. They've said the games won't be as long, maybe a 20-minute game, if that. More focus on actually fighting the enemy champions or heroes instead of sitting there farming creep. Less focus on item builds and things like that. More focus on tactics and team play. So, yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. But their monetization system is the same as League of Legends, as has kind of just been announced, so to speak. I think it was in an interview somewhere in Asia, actually. But that system essentially is, you get some heroes when you start the game. You don't get all of the heroes or champions, okay? So you might start off with, let's say, 3 or 4. You have to play the game to earn points like IP to unlock these other champions, or buy some form of currency, which you can then actually just use to buy them outright, like you can with Riot points. So if Blizzard, this company, which have this, you know, it's an illustrious history of innovation, of refinement and all kinds of stuff, you know, taking games to the next level, are now a company that are following in the footsteps of other companies, what does that say to you? You know, the only MMO in recent years, right, which is said to me that they're trying something different. Okay, this is taking the standard fantasy formula and pushing it onto the next level. EverQuest Next, okay? I've played EverQuest Next Landmark. If you're a fan of Unit Lost, you've probably seen the videos I've put together. You can see that I enjoy that game, but you can also see how they're trying to take it to the next level. It's a voxel sandbox EverQuest Next Landmark. You can build anything. When EverQuest Next comes out, the environment will be destructible. That means your abilities can destroy the environment. You know, there'll be all kinds of stuff going on. That is innovation. You know, where's the innovation in WoW? You could say, yeah, but Sty, they've got an engine which is they're restricted by that, blah, 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 blah. You know, and don't get me wrong, WoW is not failing by any, you know, WoW is doing really well. But I just don't, like, Blizzard were innovators. You know, and I think, like, this may piss some people off, but I think Cataclysm was terrible. I think that was a terrible expansion. That was not a very good expansion for WoW. I know I said it'd come off WoW, but I find it kind of easy to just use it as an example. What did that do to innovate? It just redesigned some of the low areas of the game, and then that was it. You know, it's like, what's going on? Wrath of the Lich King, that was a great expansion because that was the end of the Arthur's storyline, which started with Warcraft 3. The continuation of that through all the expansions and then ends. You cannot tell me that anybody who went through that and killed the Lich King didn't sit down and they were blown away. They were like, my God, this is fucking awesome, because it was. And then Cataclysm comes along. What's going on, Blizzard? You know, Mr. Pandaria comes along. I haven't played that, so I can't really comment all too much on that. It's got pandas. I don't know. Warlords of Draenor looks like they're trying to get back to that. You know, with the whole time travel thing going on. You know, back in time, rewriting the story. We're going to get to meet these epic characters, which obviously I want to meet. You know, people like Garrosh and people like that. I don't know, guys. Like, I'm like, have Blizzard lost their nerve? This is the thing. Have they since they joined Activision, have they become a company which doesn't want to risk anything? You know, look at the recent release, Hearthstone. Okay, it is a good game. I'm not going to say great game because I think that term's used quite a lot. You know, especially when you put it in contrast with things like Diablo 2. That is a great game. Hearthstone is a good game. Okay. It's just a card game. It's a simple card game, right? For me, it's kind of based on a bit too much luck. But the game itself, the polish is undeniable, okay? And I think, like, Blizzard is sort of in a period of time, in an era, I guess, where they're making things which are really, you know, they are good games to play, but they're not great games. They're not pushing things forward. Look at things like Star Citizen that's coming out. That's pushing boundaries. Look at, like I said, EverQuest Next. That's going to push boundaries. There's a couple of other examples as well. None of them are Blizzard games, though. Or could they be? Because I think the only thing Blizzard have got at the moment to... I'm not going to say save... Like, sort of save the fan base, because that's a bit sensationalist. But, like, I've always viewed Blizzard as a company which have made great games, right? And have innovated. At this moment in time, I don't really view them as that. I view them as this big company which... I've got this massive behemoth in WoW, and I've got games like StarCraft 2, which, you know, actually, let's talk about StarCraft 2. This is a passion of mine. I really, really enjoy StarCraft 2. I've said before many a time, that is actually what got me into YouTube and started Unit Lost. I was randomly looking around for... I couldn't believe, actually, that people would cast the games when I first found it. I was like, what's this? People actually, like, commentate on the games. Good Lord, a bit of wind. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, like, and whatnot. Then I started to look into YouTube, and we're here today, and I'm talking to a webcam, and I'm talking to you guys. But yeah, StarCraft 2, look at StarCraft 1. That was massive. StarCraft 2 has never achieved the size of the audience, the draw, I don't think, of StarCraft 1. Now, I say that, and that's kind of right and kind of wrong. StarCraft 2 has achieved much greater international audiences, I'm pretty sure of that. I watched no StarCraft Brood War at all. Okay, in Korea it was massive. right? And I mean really, really massive. You've got people like Flash. You've got, you know, these are like household names, Nesty and people like that. StarCraft 2 comes along, and I think, I don't know, it is a difficult thing, and I don't think I'm really that equipped to really go into massive detail on this, but I do think that they kind of like, I mean, there's a couple of problems. Okay, so I think there was a lot of, in fact, I've got notes on this. Let me just check my notes. Yeah, okay, so we've got the scheduling problem, right? So a lot of tournaments would cross over with other tournaments. It wasn't really very planned. Okay, so this was quite a confusing structure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the notes I've got, I mean, that's kind of okay. Things on streams not being as popular, you know. I guess the one of the better notes I've got here is veterans of the game. So like the people I just mentioned, Flash and whatnot. They don't really think StarCraft 2 is as good as StarCraft 1. Which kind of, you know, what does that say? Surely it should be the same, if not better, if it's the sequel to the, you know, this is from Blizzard, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I think I actually made a video on this. I didn't actually publish the video though, because I decided against it. But this was about StarCraft 2 and how I believe it should go free to play, because, well, the multiplayer aspect should go free to play, and if anything, they should copy Riot in this regard, because no RTS game does this. I think End of Nations was attempting to do it, but that got totally shelved. I think actually that's going to be a MOBA now or something. It's probably been totally shelved. But what they should have done, in my eyes, is, now this is of course my opinion, is they should have taken the multiplayer aspect, made it free to play, and then simply sold skins and decals and things like that. The player base would be so much bigger. Because the problem with StarCraft is it's quite intimidating to get into. If you go out now and buy not Heroes of the Storm, what's it? Heart of the Swarm. And StarCraft 2, obviously, because you need the... I don't think it's standalone. I don't think it is. No, you need the previous game. That's a lot of expense. Then you're going to go into multiplayer, and you are going to get absolutely hammered over and over again. You'll lose the first 10 games unless you're really lucky. Most people quit at that and think, well, what the fuck? I'm not playing this again. You know, so I think if they used a bit of their kind of WoW know-how, made it more sort of like friendly to the newer player, that's by either reducing the cost to get in. I know they've done the thing with the arcade where you can play that for free, but the arcade isn't the multiplayer experience. Like, it isn't the raw multiplayer experience, the competitive experience. That's just the you know, the custom games, some of which are really good, but you know, that's just the custom game thing. All right, I've rambled for like almost 30 minutes now, but what like, I'm just going to sum this, well, not sum it up, but I'm going to leave it at this. I think for Blizzard to get to a point where I think they are an innovator again, it's going to depend on what the hell they are doing with Titan. This is their MMO in development. What is this? You know, we know nothing about this. What the hell is this? How is this going to play out? You know, I find it very difficult to see how they could innovate beyond things like EverQuest Next, where you've got the destructible landscapes, you know, EverQuest Next Landmark, which is the construction sandbox. Things like Star Citizen, which I'm going to class as kind of an MMO, with the way that's been designed. You know, these are games which are pushing the boundaries. Can Blizzard do that? In fact, I submit this to Blizzard. If anybody from Blizzard is watching this, can you prove me wrong? Can you actually go out there and say, here is our game? Or it doesn't even have to be Titan. It can be anything. And go, this is a game we have made. It is innovative. We are taking chances again. We're not just playing it safe. You know, because there is a company there in Blizzard which is it's like a staple of PC gaming. This is a company that's been there for years, you know, and I don't want to see it just go into nothing, go into this bland like company which is just, you know, I don't know, guys, but I'm going to leave it at that because this has been a pretty long hotfix. What I want to know is your opinion on this. What do you think of Blizzard as a company? I mean, for me to ask you if they're struggling at innovation, I think is kind of a pointless question because they clearly are. I want to know examples of this. I want to know ways you think Blizzard could change. I want to know what you think the future can hold for Blizzard. What do you think Titan's going to be? And maybe they have other games in the works. You know, maybe we could see something crazy in the future. Who knows? But as ever, comment below, rate and subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. I've been Stylosa. This is Unit Lost, and this is Hotfix, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll catch you next time. Toodaloo.